This week's feature is brought to you by Workforce Resources Staffing Company in West Hazelton. With temporary to permanent jobs, seasonal and temporary placement, you must apply in person. And now here's our weekly feature.
For more than a century, the faithful of Most Precious Blood Church in Hazelton have taken part in a religious procession throughout the streets of the city of Hazelton. It is part of the celebration known as the Madonna del Monte Festival. While the celebration originated in Italy in the 1800s, it began here in Hazelton in 1900 with the arrival of a statue of the Blessed Virgin Mary.
There was people that lived close to us, a woman from up about 2 blocks away from my home, who came from the area where they celebrated this feast. And when she came here, she herself went from home to home collecting to buy this statue to bring it over so that we can continue this feast here. And I always admired her for what she did because it was so special to me too.
This 120-year-old tradition in our area is a very special part of many lives of the people who live here in the Hazelton area. Among them, current members of the Vito, Beltrami, Sacco, and Franzosa families. Sisters Anella Beltrami and Angie Vito, whose maiden name was D'Amato, remember taking part in the procession since they were children.
As a little girl, I do remember my parents getting very involved in this beautiful feast. It was a tradition that was brought over by people in our area, and we loved it very much, and we stayed with it from the beginning. And every year it just grew stronger and stronger until today. It still is a very special part of my life.
Well, the gin, that came over from Italy, but then in English they refer to it as the candle house. But we carry it in respect of the Blessed Mother. But years back, when this originated in Italy, it was their way of carrying food to go up to the mountain where this statue was.
This is the candle house Angie referred to. The tradition began in Italy with the candle houses, symbolizing the Ark of the Covenant of the Old Testament and the light of the world of the New Testament. The original statue, Our Lady of the Mountain, was set in a cave on a mountaintop in Italy. For 3 days, families would climb rough terrain in prayer and thanksgiving. The original candle houses used in the procession in Italy did not contain statues or canopies. That's because these candles were actually lit and used for light. These candle houses in Hazelton have the shape of a boat. That is because the statue that arrived here 150 years ago came here via boat.
I remember back when I was about 4 or 5 years old. My mom would fill baskets with flowers from our garden, and my sister and I would carry them behind the candle house because we were too small to have the candle house. Everybody would fight to carry the streamer on the candle house, but we were too small, so we had to carry the baskets. But it was always very, very special to us. And they always taught us as this procession went, she was blessing our homes as she was passing our homes. So we just do need it.
Maureen Franzosa married into this longtime religious tradition.
When I met my husband in 1975, I started going to his mother's house on 8th and Garfield. And this was a big feast, a big procession. It was wonderful, and I love tradition. My uncle, Father Raymond, was put at Most Precious Blood Church. So then it became his festival, which then became more of a family type of thing.
Fast forward to today. Lauren Sacco has grown up with the procession. It's a tradition she plans to pass on to her and her husband Scott's newborn baby, Avery.
This was a huge thing. My father was involved with the Key Club at the time. He was president for a good amount of the time. And there'd be a huge breakfast on Sunday. The street would be painted, pendants would be put out. Everybody in the family, there was about probably 70 or 80 of us walking at that point. Everybody had a matching t-shirt with the last name D'Amato on the back. People came from all over, everywhere and anywhere And the huge party took place right at 3rd and Mongees at my great-grandmother's house.
Now, years later, the tradition continues. In addition to the procession, the church also holds a festival. While that part has changed throughout the years, the good food remains the same. Lauren helps out with the kitchen, and Maureen chairs the church festival. And while her own children no longer live in this area, they always come home for this special weekend.
They all come home and they work at the festival on Saturday night. We go to Mass and they carry the candle house on Sunday morning. Then we go back to my house, and again, like Lauren's family, there's a lot of us there, and we eat and we're together, and it's family and it's important.
And while Angie no longer walks in the procession, she's very busy at home preparing the food for her entire family.
I have 40 just us. She comes up. My other sister used to come, and she just passed away in December.
The procession is just one of several events featured during the weekend of August 9th, 10th, and 11th. The church festival begins Friday from 3 till 8 p.m. and then Saturday from 2 till 8. It is then followed by the procession on Sunday, August 11th, after the 10:30 Sunday Mass. And a pasta dinner then follows the procession from 11 till 4. What goes through your mind when you see your children, your grandchildren participating in this?
I'm very proud. I have 4 generations in this procession. Me, my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. So I'm very proud.
So mark your calendars for this very special weekend in August, August 9th, 10th, and 11th at Most Precious Blood Church in Hazleton. Come see a tradition kept alive for 120 years. Reporting from Hazleton for SSPTV News, I'm Lisa Sugart.